Alright, so today we're going to do a tutorial on controlling a 3D printer over Wi-Fi with the Raspberry Pi. If you want to do the video where it streams video with the Kyra, you're probably going to need a Raspberry Pi 3, just because I don't know that a Raspberry Pi 1 would have the bandwidth. For all the video, I'll include the download links in the description for everything we go through, so don't worry about getting them out of the video. The first thing we'll need to do is download OctoPi. So you'll download that, save it, and you're going to need some way to access your micro SD card. To image the micro SD card, I like a tool called Rufus, links also in the description. So downloading that here. Once you have that imaged, and you can use Win32 Imager as well, that would be just as good. Remember, it will delete everything on your SD card, so that's what that's warning us there. Once we have that image, we're going to need to access the micro SD card to edit the network settings so that we can tell it which Wi-Fi network to connect to. For that step, you can totally skip that step if you are using the LAN connection. If you are using Wi-Fi, that file doesn't edit well in Notepad, so I'm going to download Notepad++ here. I included a link in there as well, and install that tool and open this in Notepad++. It's just a better editor. It can handle the Unix line ins and stuff. And I'm going to uncomment out the pre-shared key, SSID, and network line, but not the title there. And then put in your SSID and your pre-shared key with quotes around it. After that, you're going to have to figure out what the IP address of your OctoPi is. You can either do that via HDMI, logging into your wireless router, or if you go under My Computer and you have your network sharing turned on, you should be able to see it there. Just go to the properties of the Octoprinter icon. Once doing that, open your browser and you're going to want to navigate to make sure it's HTTPS and the IP address of your OctoPi printer. And the first time you hit it, it's going to bring you to this setup wizard. I would recommend you put some kind of authentication on there. So that's what we're set up, admin username and password. If you don't want to, or you're okay with it not having username and password, then you can also skip this step by hitting the disable access control and then clicking next. This is where it's going to give you the option to just check if it's connected for updates. The idea here is that it'll save CPU cycles, not trying to do updates if the internet is not connected. I went ahead and enabled it. Blacklisting processing. This is where you won't get updates that are known to cause issues that might be problematic, as I understand it. So I enabled that. I guess if you want to be on the bleeding edge, you might want to keep it on. I'm going to manually configure my printer here, so I'll just click next to that. I'm not going to import printer settings. And this is where we can configure our printer. I have a printer bot, rest in peace. Configure your print bedside. You're going to have to go through all these settings. And if you don't have this, I recommend just looking up the data sheet on your printer. It'll have all that information on there. Quick Google on the printer bed size is what you would Google for that. Alright, so this is just telling you, health and safety bullshit that, printers can catch fire. Don't print them if you're not looking at them. Alright, so now the first thing we have to do is connect our printer. Right above that's an option to save the settings and auto connect the server at startup. I recommend checking that. I need to plug the printer in as well, so make sure it's plugged into the printer. And then click on that connect button. You can see that state is error, failed to auto detect serial port. That's what you'll see if it's not correctly connected to the printer. So we click connect. We now have the printer connected to the 3D printer connected to the Raspberry Pi. So now our next step is to get the API settings configured. So we'll do that by clicking on the username at the top and then going to user settings. You have the option down there to generate an API key. So we'll generate a new API key, and this is what we're going to use to connect Kyra to the OctoPi. So we'll copy that number. Now we need to open Kyra. Now for some reason the toolbars weren't recording well for my Kyra, so I'm using screenshots here, but we'll do toolbox browse packages, and you'll see the OctoPi connection package. You're going to want to click on that and then click install and then restart Kyra. So once you've restarted Kyra, you're going to click on settings, printer, and then click on your printer for Kyra. If you haven't added your printer yet, go ahead and click on add printer and just follow this, add the same settings, the printer bed. For most printers, it'll already be in Kyra, so it's real easy. Once you have that printer, you can click connect Octoprint, that option there. And in the screen that comes up, we're going to paste the key that you copied from the API key on OctoPi right into the API key option there. And as long as these have network connectivity to each other, they should connect right up. So once you click connect, go ahead and close that, and then we'll load into Kyra. We now have, where right on your slicer icon, the option to print with OctoPi. It might still say, you may have to hit that little drop down arrow to find it. And what's cool is if you have a compatible USB camera on there, it will automatically stream the video to Kyra as you print. So I really liked that. The one thing I did notice is that when you cancel that printer or anything, it's better to actually go back to the OctoPi website to control the printer manually. So like if you need to erase it or anything like that. So either way, that's how to use your Raspberry Pi to control your 3D printer. Thanks.